Welcome to your Aquarius horoscopes for the week of the 17th through the 23rd of March. It is spring this week, which I'm really excited about. I don't know about the rest of you Aquarians, but I, being a winter sign, I'm still not a fan of winter. I know it's weird, but to each their own, right? Looking forward to everything blossoming and, of course, the sun coming out, which it finally did a couple of days ago. And I'm really stoked about that. This is our final week of Mars in Aquarius. And up until about Wednesday, Mars is still in a square with Uranus, which is focused on your support system. Mars continues to bring that focus of your long-term goals into the mix. So it creates a challenge when it feels like you do not have support for your long-term goals. Maybe even feeling like it's just all on you and it's too much of a burden for you to carry on your own, even if you're an Aquarius. I know. I mean, we think that we are all that in a bag of chips. It's true, but we are human just like everybody else, it turns out. Who'd have thunk it, right? It's hard to be an Aquarius because Aquarians are extremely independent and have a very high opinion of what they can achieve and accomplish and prefer to do it on their own. Not because nobody else is good enough, but because we technically are loners by nature. But then we get ourselves in this position where we get to the point where it's too overwhelming and we realize that we really do need somebody there to help us through this. So we're creating our own problem and we're creating our own sabotage by continuing the pattern of the way it is, of trying to do everything yourself and realizing that you just cannot do it. And when we're talking about support specifically, we're really looking not just at the friends that we have or the family that we have that decide that our idea is great and go with it. But we're really talking about more of a professional support, really making sure that you have the support that you need for very specific things. Money is always an issue, and we're going to get to that here in just a minute. Money is always an issue, but you have to invest in your plans in order to get anything out of your plans. And that's where money comes into the picture. And this can be very scary right now because we're in an economy that is worse than it has ever been in the history of ever, and probably will just continue to get worse because in my lifetime, that's what it's done, right? In everybody's lifetimes, that's what it's done. So we have to continue to be able to roll with the punches on that and not allow it to get in the way. Once we start focusing on how everything sucks, we've lost the battle, basically. Luckily, that challenge is ending on Wednesday, which leaves us with a day or two of Mars energy going into those long-term goals without the distraction of the challenge. So it's a very good time. Wednesday, Thursday is a very good time to utilize that energy to project you forward in those long-term goals, to make sure that you know exactly what you want to do and what you need in order to succeed. And if it requires money, we need to find the money or we need to make cuts in our spending that may not be essential spending in order to be able to afford those things. Making those little sacrifices helps you in the long run to be able to have more of those things later on. And it just takes sacrificing a little bit of money to do it. Now let's look at Pluto because we're going to be talking about Pluto basically for the rest of our lives. I'm pretty sure for the rest of mine anyways, because it is not interacting with any planets until Wednesday and Thursday when the moon moves into opposition of Pluto. And Pluto is focused on money. Now it's our source of power. It's all about transformation. We're really focusing on transforming any of our financial problems or issues or eliminating anything that's getting in the way from us being financially successful. And the moon, bringing those emotions in and screwing everything up, is really bringing this focus of the past and issues in the past related to financial success are coming up in the they're coming up to the surface. So one way that this plays out is feeling like all of a sudden you are playing into a pattern that you have played into before multiple times in the past. And it feels like a never-ending cycle that you cannot get out of. And of course, we all know that we are smarter than that and we can get out of it, but it still feels like we can't. Now, part of the moon's focus is also on the mind and how the mind plays a part in that whole scenario. And it's our thoughts. As we Aquarians walk around acting like we're not emotional people, we have some pretty emotional thoughts going through our heads almost all the time. And while most people don't see it, we are beating ourselves to death with those emotional thoughts. And that really is what is getting in the way of financial success. As we continue to beat ourselves up with those thoughts, we physically put obstacles in front of ourselves to create challenges for ourselves to prove that bottom line is there's nothing we can do to fix this problem. There is lots of things to fix this problem. It's called eliminating the obstacles and not doing it anymore. But we're human and we keep doing it for some reason. This week is a prime time for you to be able to pay attention to and see where you are putting these obstacles up around yourself. And when you can identify that, you can eliminate the problem, or you can make choices to eliminate the problem. You can keep the problem going if you so choose to, but at least now you know that you're doing it out of spite to yourself, which really just doesn't make much sense, does it? Lots of things that we humans do don't make any sense, right? But we do them anyways. So that little challenge is going to go on for a couple of days, Wednesday, Thursday, and then boom, it's over. And we're really just left at the end of the week with Pluto's focus on finances, on its transformation, on its growth, on its, power, on our ability to disconnect from our power is in our bank account and put the power back in ourselves where it belongs, which allows us to grow that bank account so that we feel powerful. It's a cycle, but not a vicious cycle. It's more of a productive cycle, which definitely is something that's going to help us out in the long run. So, bottom line here is it's all comes down to choices. We choose whether or not we want to be successful or whether we want to fail. And most of us don't want to fail, but it's our choices that make us do that. And when we make those choices to make us fail, then we're sabotaging, and we need to know why, because there is no success until you figure that out. So that's what I have for you guys this week. Does it feel like we have been beaten to a pulp? Absolutely. But hopefully, in the recovery from that beating, we are a little bit smarter. We have a little bit more wisdom. We have a little bit more motivation to make changes so that we do not find ourselves in the same position again. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation through my coffee link in the description. Really appreciate that. Love the coffees. You guys are awesome. Also, check out my website. I have the link going directly to the calendar in the description there because I'm adding things to the calendar and you do not want to miss that. There's going to be some fun stuff going up there. I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heaven Middle Psychic. I will see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you guys make it a great week. It's in your power to do so, You make it a great week. I'll see you next week.